Right. His last name is Carter or Carver. What is his name, the CTA guy? Is it Carver? I know Dora, president of Violence Interrupters not-for-profit organization. We're standing here today in front of the CTA train, the Blue Line here in Forest Park, because the recent murder of 4 people, the execution of 4 people is unacceptable here in Chicago and also here in Forest Park. There's no way in the world that 4 people would lose their lives in such a tragic way on a CTA train. On behalf of Violence Interrupters, we've been doing our best to meet with the president of CTA and Mayor Brandon Johnson in order to talk about how we can deploy Violence Interrupters to work on these CTA trains and buses in order to prevent and detect incidents like this on the front end before any shots are fired. It's very, very important. Violence Interrupters have a history of working with people that exhibit psychotic behavior and sociopathic behavior. We have already mediated around 40 conflicts in the city of Chicago to date where we stopped somebody from taking the life of another person. So we have a proven track record. We work from a violence interrupter public health model, and we're looking to work with the city. We're looking to work with the people in Forest Park and looking to work with everybody in order to stop the killings here in Chicago and abroad. Also, we would like to employ violence interrupters to conduct high-risk outreach work on CTA trains, because my staff are very familiar with the young guys that ride these trains on a regular basis. The last time we boarded the CTA trains, we got a chance to confiscate 2 knives from 2 young guys, and we didn't actually take them from the guys. The guys gave us their knives because they were out there, they were looking to rob somebody. So we have a track record. CTA has a long history, where you have many, many assaults, rapes. You have women raped on CTA trains, muggings on a regular basis on the CTA trains. What we're saying, if we deploy 100 violence interrupters to work these trains and begin taking on some of these high-risk individuals as high-risk clients and work with them and show them how to change their behavior when it comes down to violence. That's what we're here today to talk about. And Mr. Carter, we still want to meet with you so that we can show you our plan, how we can reduce gun violence together here in Chicago and abroad and on the CTA trains. It's very, very important. I've talked to a lot of young people since this tragedy took place during the Labor Day weekend. You have young people now saying they do not want to board CTA trains and buses because they fear of their lives. And on a positive note, people should be able to board these trains and go to sleep on a CTA train knowing the violence interrupters have their back. That's what this is all about today. We have a strategy that we can implement to really bring peace to these CTA trains, and it's totally unnecessary. And when it comes down to the law right now, when you have an individual that's been locked up several times for gun violations, it's important to kind of take a look at those cases in a serious way, because these murders could have been prevented. That's what I'm talking about. They could have been prevented from the judicial end and from the street outreach end with violence interrupters, which is a public health model to reduce gun violence here in Chicago. So with that being said, I want to bring up Zerlina Smith. She works with us as well. Then I have another young man, Elliot. He's going to speak after that, and then we'll keep it going, all right? Come on, Zerlina.
Good morning. I'm Zerlina Smith. Z as in zebra, E-R-L-I-N-A, S-M-I-T-H.
Put it down. For the small people.
I'm here today because I'm a resident of the West Side. I am also an individual who works for violence prevention. I'm a mother. When you think about what has happened, not just with CTA, but the violence that has occurred to people who call public transportation home, a senseless killing by someone who should have been incarcerated or in a mental facility. We have to think about the city of Chicago and the tactics that they're using. We have to hold our mayors all across our state, our governor, accountable for these deaths at this moment. We have so many sanctions as residents of the city of Chicago and residents of the state of Illinois when it comes to protecting ourselves. But criminals have the right to take the lives of innocent people. As a violence prevention worker, we need to deploy every violence prevention organization that has received money across the state of Illinois to make sure that this type of violence does not happen again. We have too many children riding public transportation, single mothers trying to get to work to take care of their households. I'm one. I want to make sure if I get on any public transportation in the state of Illinois that I can make it home to my daughter. I am a single mother and I pay all our bills, private education for her safety not to be in a public school in the city of Chicago. This is unjust. We need to make sure that we hold our state's attorney accountable, the current and the ones who are looking to be elected. We need to make sure that we are sitting at the table with every elected official and putting together a strong plan to make sure no one does not return home as they use public transportation. Crime is too high, and we're losing too many of our loved ones to senseless violence. We need a plan, and we need to deploy as many women and men as we can to be on these L's 24/7 to assist with Chicago Police Department. We need the mayor to invest in CPD to make sure that he starts hiring more. We need a strong collaborative from CPD with community and parents and the mental health facility. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good morning. My name is Elliot Jackson, a part of Violence Interrupters, good neighbor, every block of village, a community activist. First and foremost, my condolences to the families, the victims. This senseless killing could have been avoided, should have been avoided. The CTA should have been had violence interrupters and violence prevention as a tactic to assist so that these kind of issues wouldn't have happened. So now I ask that we hold CTA accountable so it never happens again. You know, to the families, if y'all reach out, please, to Mr. Tito Hardeman. You know, we want to hold CTA accountable for the lives of your loved ones. Just because they was homeless don't mean that they was forgotten. Their lives had value. You know, they were children of God. So I just say right now, CTA, the president of CTA, the Chicago mayor, all our elected officials, y'all got to do better. Because if you don't, we're going to hold you accountable. That's all. Thank you.
So, with that being said, also on behalf of Violence Interrupters, I know that Mr. Carter, he spent $31 million last year on the K-9 units to board the trains in security, but it's not really working to get the job done, because there should never be a time when you don't have security on these trains out here. Even if it's 5 o'clock in the morning, somebody went to sleep at the wheel, and $31 million is a lot of money to spend on security, and you're not getting the desired results. So what we're saying is, take a look at Violence Interrupters. Let's have a, oh man, I don't know what the fuck happened. Excuse my language, I don't know what happened to me there. Let me get it together. Okay, here we go. Let's have, excuse me for cussing on the camera. Look here, let's have a serious meeting and work together to do our best to bring peace to the CTA trains out here. It's time. There's no better time than today. All right, so we just wrap it at that. That's cool. All right. I was trying to use the word strategic. I don't know what happened to me.
That got stuck.
That's got stuck over me, yeah.
Strategically.
Yes. Yeah. Say that again. Yeah, funding? Yeah, I believe the CTA has the funds to support Violence Interrupters without a doubt. It's just a matter of, you know, it's all political in Chicago. If you're not in bed with the right politicians, you will not receive any funding out here. So sometimes CTA has to think out of the box. I can say this much: when Rahm Emanuel was the mayor, he really did not want to support ceasefire at that time and the Violence Interrupters, but he was forced to support Violence Interrupters because every strategy he tried to deploy was not working until he brought the Violence Interrupters to the table. We were considered like the outcasts at that time because we represented like a lot of the guys from the streets. We brought people to the table, that some of the unusual suspects to the table, in other words, to get the job done. So sometimes people don't want to work with individuals that are outspoken, because no one needs a traditional yes man around them all the time. If you really want to stop the killings out here, we have a proven track record, just getting back down to the basics. We know how to mediate conflicts. My staff have mediated 40 conflicts this year already, where a guy was about to shoot and kill somebody and we stopped him, because we had the right type of method and strategy to go in there and talk to guys, make sense of the madness, and get guys to put their guns down.
So funding,
yeah, go ahead.
funding will make
Yeah.
sure, because at this particular, funding at this particular moment has been an issue for violence interrupters to obtain. But considering with the track record of myself and so many with T.O. Hardeman for years of the work that we've done and have accomplished, we're going to look for the county, we're going to look for the state, and we're going to also look for the city, regardless of the $1 billion that they claim that they don't have. We're going to ask for them to cut back on the wasteless spending from City Hall. We're going to ask for CTA to actually stand up and be its own man and have its own voice. We're going to ask for Cook County Board President, who has violence prevention money, to take a look into this as well, because this isn't something that just happened. I was in high school in 1993 and they were shooting never, but they were fighting with their fists on public transportation. We made it home. So now, instead of constantly hiring your friends, patronage jobs, and constantly wasting the taxpayers' dollars, we gotta get real serious, real fast to make sure that nothing like this continues to happen and never happens again, by hiring people 24/7, not to just canvass our community, but canvass our public transportation as well.
Yeah. Yes. Say it again. How do you stop a guy with a gun? It's all about the right type of response to a guy with a gun. If you see a guy, for example, if we had a violence interrupter on the train the day the guy murdered them 4 people, there's a chance one of my staff would have recognized that this particular guy has some issues. You can see it in their face, their demeanor. Don't get me wrong, it could happen. Things happen just impromptu sometimes, but 9 times out of 10, we would have detected what was going on, and we could have talked to that guy before he pulled the trigger. That's how you stop a guy with a gun. It's very important. It's all about personal relationships and how you talk to people, because, for example, if I was on that train, I'm not saying it's 100%, but I guarantee you 90% of the way, if T.O. Hardeman was on that train that day, if I looked that guy in his face and I talked to him a certain way, I could have talked him down, because I know how to talk the language they understand. And what I mean by that, talking to my own people a certain way, talking the native tongue. That's very important. That's how you stop. See, it doesn't matter about what program that you implement. Stopping killings is all about personal relationships. You know, this is the thing. Most killers do not talk. So how do you know somebody's going to take a life anyway? So it's important to intercept whispers and notice people, the way they carry themselves, and just notice, like, it's all about the body movement and all that, being very observant of what's going on around you. Right now, you have to be on guard 24 hours a day in Chicago, unfortunately. Chicago's the only city in the United States that still experiences over 450 homicides every year. The city of Boston, so far this year, 3 homicides. Only 3 homicides in the city of Boston this year. That's major. If I was the mayor here, I would be flying up to Boston to talk to them people in Boston to talk about how they were able to accomplish where it's only 3 homicides. Even going back to 1994, in Boston, they had this ceasefire approach in Boston where for 1 year straight, in the 1994, you can look these facts up, not one young person under 17 was killed for 1 entire year. So Boston has a good strategy. Violence interrupters, my organization is backed up by an independent study from the Department of Justice. So we know what we're doing. It's been the work